Rick decides we're gonna move into some tighter cover now. Wind's starting to pick up a little bit. That's where the coyotes are gonna be. That's especially where the cats are gonna be. So we walk up this nice little trail, up through this opening, up onto the top of this big knob. It's just chocked full of brush and trees and just thick, gnarly stuff, which is ideal, especially when you're wanting to call a cat. Now, as far as sound sequences, you know, we're really gonna stick to prey distress.
Yeah.
I mean, we liked, with all those awesome sounds on the Revolution, it's hard not to wanna play a coyote fight or one of these awesome distresses, because coyotes will come to that. But when we're targeting cats now, we're gonna switch up sounds, stay within that prey distress category with some rabbits, jackrabbit, cottontail, mix it up, bird. I'm sure you'll play some rodent. And from what I've seen, when I've been hunting with you, a lot of times those cats will hang up, they get a little disinterested, and by just switching that sound, all of a sudden they perk back up and they come in a little closer. So yeah, on this stand, or these cat stands we're gonna make throughout the next couple of days, you're gonna see that. You're gonna see lots of switching up of sounds, but it's gonna stay primarily in that prey distress. So basically we just walked up this hill, maybe 200 yards. We're basically just looking, as far as the setup itself, we're just looking for something that gives us a little bit of an area to see. You know, if you look back across over here, we're only less than probably 15 yards from the tree line. You know, back across here, kind of looking back into the sun, you know, we have maybe 50 to 80 yards. And that's all we're gonna have here. So, you know, we're gonna tuck back into this stuff, kind of get back into the shadows the best we can, and just sit tight. This is gonna be not a lot of movement. A cat probably gonna come right to the edge and sit there and look and look and look and look and look before it comes out. Coyote probably gonna blow right in if there's one in here. So you gotta be ready for everything in a setup like this, but don't be afraid to get in here tight.
If I have the stuff to blend, I really like to blend in, because cats will hang up just inside before they pop out.
A lot of people probably would have been nervous, you know, would not have felt comfortable. Even me, I don't feel that comfortable sitting up on something that tight, you know, especially when I have a rifle in my hand. Luckily for Rick, he had the shotgun. We couldn't see very far, but we knew, you know, it's one of those stands you kind of sit there with your gun up, because when it happens, and it happens fast.
Right here. Especially when it's warm and windy, I like to get in these kind of tight covered spots, but it all happens bing, bang, boom, and it's over normally.
I mean, the coyote smashed right into the side of the call, knocked it down, peeled out of here, and the 10 gauge just unleashed on him.
He was in trouble.
Another heavy coyote for being probably a pup.
Yeah, definitely is. Predator hunting, it's unpredictable. Every time it's different. Look what happened. Unpredictable. I think that's what I like about it, is you never really know it. It's always different. So
Hold your hand like this.
I ain't gonna hold my hand like that.
I'm shaking too, man.
Nah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, if that don't get your blood pumping,
I mean, that was
you
that
just
adrenaline rush after. I didn't even pull the trigger on that thing, and I was sitting there shaking, man. That adrenaline hits you after that. I mean, that's what makes this stuff fun. But
we had the crazy cold front blow in, and the wind was screaming out of the northwest, at least 30 plus. I thought, I don't know, but it was getting after it. I wouldn't be calling, I know that normally. So we slip up in there just like we always do.
hey, let's bring back some fond memories.
I suppose you want to sit right where you did
Oh
last
yeah,
night.
that's my area over there. Yeah.
Why don't me and you sit together, and Jan and Chris with the camera watch that downwind side, and we'll just focus like where your cat popped out last time.
Yeah, definitely. Rifles kind of going down the sides. Shotgun can cover anything that pops out. Perfect.
All right.
Tuck into these little cedars growing out of these trees. Well, that'll be good.
It being a real tight quartered kind of a catty spot, when we set up there, we could actually set up 50, 60 yards away from a cat or a coyote right down in there. So after about the 4-minute mark, I changed to cotton ball on the Revolution and kind of cranked it up. One thing I love about the Revolution is normally you would walk out there put the call down and just point it. You're either gonna have to point it straight into the creek or say, well, I guess I'll point it this way. No, well, maybe I want to point it this way. Nah, get a revolution, because you can point it from one end of the creek to the other. And that's what I did. Cranked up a louder cottontail and just worked him back and forth and swung it over there, and Jeff alerted me that there's a coyote coming from the right.
Right here, Rick. Rick, coming across the top, coming across the top. Coming right down the pasture here. Got the call? I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I have to say a little something. This is my kill zone right here. See,
Yeah.
You'll notice these two trees that are right here. 2 years ago, the bobcat I killed, he come up and stepped up right between those two trees and I killed him. So 2 years ago, when we're sitting on this same stand, I'm sitting in the same exact spot. You know, it was almost about the same amount of time in, 3-4 minutes. And Jan was with us again, and he whispers, coming from the right. Exactly where this last coyote come from this year. I look over there and I don't see anything. I'm expecting to see kind of a white-chested coyote, you know, popping up in the tree line, and I don't see anything. So
Here he comes to your right.
Once again, I just kind of come up slow in my scope and I start scanning, and lo and behold, there's this cat just sitting there. And in that trip, we were really trying to get a cat, kind of like we were this one, but you know, in a couple days of hunting, it's tough to really maybe get a cat sometimes. You know, it's a lot of luck involved with calling in a cat. And that day, everything worked out right, and the cat sat there, and we probably could have worked that cat a little bit, but I was pretty pumped up, and the cat's sitting there at 50 yards. And Rick had told me when a cat sits down, a lot of times they're kind of anchor themselves. They don't really come any closer. So I didn't hesitate, you know, dialing up and squaring up the crosshairs and shooting that cat. And that was actually my first called-in bobcat with Rick and Jan, you know, so very exciting.
Oh, it's a nice cat, man.
That sucker will look good on the wall.
That's a beautiful cat.
Nice one, Jeff.
It was Rick.
Yeah, that's a
It's
fact.
called Jeffy's Zone right here.
This is your little
That's a
20-yard
big coyote.
area. You wanted me to put a fence up, me and Jan to put a fence up around here?
Jeff's
Nobody
area.
else?
That's a big coyote there.
That is a big one.
Yeah, look at that big sucker.
That is a stud horse. One thing I got to comment on the Revolution and the sounds, the baby's got a lot of power. We're having 35-mile-an-hour gust out here. We've been calling them in.
Yeah. I mean, this coyote was upwind. I'm guessing you can see those far trees off in the distance. That's probably 400 or 500 yards. And that was 4 minutes into the stand, and I'm sure that's where he came from.
Another thing I'll comment on when you're calling like I do in this real close, tight quartered, I like to start out with a baby cottontail, and just for a little bit I could hardly hear it, but I know they can hear it. You don't want to blow these close ones out, and then after about 4 or 5 minutes, and I switch up to a different cottontail. We were playing shoulder belt when this coyote came in, and I had it cranked up, not max volume, but I was getting there. Just keep working it up.
Well, his luck ran out today.
Yep.